Say cheese.
Gloucester. Double Gloucester, in fact. And that's what we'll be making today. This is a bright yellow cheese that went a bit wonky. I'll talk more about this in the cheese press. But it looks like it turned out. It's nice and firm, rather heavy, and only one little glitch on it. Still got to wax it, but how do we make it? Here is your step-by-step guide with a few blunders and a few difficulties and the normal stuff that I have. So hang around, see what I get up to. We have all the ingredients out, I hope. We have our 6 litres of pasteurised, non-homogenised milk, our cheese press, cheese salt, teaspoon measures, mesophilic culture, calcium chloride, and this fellow here for colouring, isopropyl alcohol for sterilising, 3 lots of dechlorinated water, 1/4 cup each. We have our rennet, still getting rid of the last of the tablets, cheese knife, cheesecloth, cheese rack, digital and analog thermometer, and our stirring spoon. Of course, we have our pot, which is going to be on a double boiler, and we have to sterilise everything first. So all of the stainless steel equipment is going to be boiled. Everything else, including the stainless steel stuff, will be sprayed with the isopropyl alcohol. Keep things nice and clean and germ-free, we hope. All right, we have it on the double boiler as normal to slow down the heating process, and we'll get our milk in, which again is non-homogenised, so big lumps of cream at the top. We'll try and get that out. Which reminds me, I haven't got the whisk out. There we go, it just fell off. Right, one. Now the recipe I have is from Gavin Weber, as I normally do, but he uses 12 litres of milk, I think, in his recipe, so we're going to have to remember to halve everything. All the measurements, not the timing. Right, so we put our double boiler on. We've got to bring this up to 32 degrees C and get rid of all of the great lumps of cream. So out with our whisk. So that's the sort of thing we want to get mixed in. It gets easier to integrate once the milk warms up a little bit. So we've got it up to temperature, which is 32 degrees. It's just very slightly over. 32, oh no, 32.1. So that's good. We now need to add our mesophilic culture. Now we're using the Mad Millies. This should be the right amount of culture for the 6 litres of milk, because that's what all the Mad Millie recipes make, 6 litres. So we're going to sprinkle this over the top. There we go. And leave it to rehydrate for 5 minutes. So let's set a timer. Hey Siri, set timer 5 minutes. No, that's Google. Hey Google, set timer 5 minutes. Google doesn't like me. Hey Google, set timer. 5 minutes. Starting now. Just a bit slow. All right, so we'll leave that. In the meantime, I have put 8 drops of our colouring in 1/4 cup of dechlorinated water. We have 3/8 of a teaspoon of calcium chloride in here, and I'm still using up the last of my rennet tablets, so the rennet tablets are in here rather than the using the liquid rennet, which I think will be much better to use. But this again is 2 tablets of rennet, which is what we use for all the Mad Millie recipes with 6 litres of milk. So we'll just let that dissolve, come back in 5 minutes and give it a stir. Check the temperature. Stayed up there quite nicely. It's at 29.6, 29.7. We should have kept it a little bit warmer. We'll pop it back on here. That should warm it up a little bit. Now we need to mix in our annatto solution. So let's pour that in, gently mix it for a minute. Made a bit of a colour difference, not a huge amount. Okay, that's stirred. And now we've got to let that rest for 15 minutes. So, Siri, set timer 15 minutes. Just keep an eye on that temperature. I'll just warm it up a little bit. It seems a little bit low. Right, just going to make sure it gets back up to 32. And it's back up to 31 and a bit. Sitting on the hot water there, it'll definitely get up to 32. I'll just keep an eye on it. Check the temperature again to see if we take it off that double boiler. But the gas is off, just sitting there on hot water. So here we are again. It's back to 32 degrees. And we're about to mix our calcium chloride in. There we go. Stir that through. And now we add our rennet and stir through for 1 minute. No more, no less. It's been 45 minutes. Let's see if the curds have formed and we get a clean break. I think so. Could be better. I think we'll leave that just for another 15 minutes. Okay, so we're now getting a clean break. Much better than before. So it's time to cut it. So we're going to cut it into 1/2 inch or 12.5mm cubes. Of course, nowhere near that accurate. Now, these are fairly firm curds, I believe, so we don't have to let it rest. What we're going to do now is heat it up again. So we're currently sitting at about 30 degrees. Let's check that a little bit closer. Yeah, it's sitting at 32 degrees, so I'll actually turn that heat off and we stir for 15 minutes.
Got it. 15 minutes. And that's
Again,
starting now.
Breaking up any of the larger lumps that we see. Making sure it doesn't go above 32 with the hot water underneath it. Please excuse the noise in the background, we're boiling a kettle. So I'll continue stirring this for 15 minutes. Now comes the hard part. We've got to very slowly raise the temperature to 37 degrees over a period of 45 minutes while stirring continually. So there we go. We're sitting at 31. I shall check the temperature. Sitting at 30 degrees almost exactly. Yeah, flicker around 30 degrees. So we've got to raise it up another 7 degrees over 45 minutes while we stir it. I'm not going to make you watch that. So we've let it rest for 20 minutes. We now drain it into a cheesecloth lined colander, and that's a mouthful. And now we have to push down gently on it, get some extra whey out, it says. Actually, we don't let it drain like that. We take it out of here and we place it into our back in our pot. And we'll just sort of clump that together. It needs to be one piece. Shortly. See how that goes. So that clump stays there for 15 minutes and then we do the cheddaring.
Got it. 15 minutes. And that's starting now.
Now for our next trick, we've got to drain that whey off and turn this over. So let's try draining the whey off. We shall drain it into the colander just in case. Oops. Well, that fell over. And we'll try and gently slide that. There we go. So that actually worked. It slipped, but it fell in the right direction. So that now sits there again for another 15 minutes. Right, that's been 15 minutes again, so we'll just drain that extra whey off, holding it this time. And now we need to, we shall cut that in 4 pieces. Come quite firm. And we stack them up. Might be easier to do it that way around. Okay, and we cover it and leave it for another 15 minutes. So another 15 minutes. We take this off and we turn our curd over and restack it. There's quite a bit more whey coming off. So we'll leave that for another 15 minutes. Come back for the final steps. Now we need to take these pieces of curd and cut them into 1-inch cubes. That's about 1 inch. Put them in a bowl. There's a big difference in the colour of the curds using that dye. A bit more curd has come out of there. Sorry, a bit more whey has come out of there. So we'll discard that. And now we need to add 1.5 tablespoons of our artisan salt, or any salt without iodine in it anyway. So in that goes. Interestingly, we add the salt and we don't mill it through like we normally do. It's done on these large cubes. Not only use Gav's wonderful PDF, but I checked on his video as well to make sure I was doing this right. And this is the correct way to do it. So we mix the salt through thoroughly, and now we can put it into our cheesecloth lined cheese press. Now this Mad Millie one has caused me a few minor headaches, I've got my boiled cheesecloth here, so we'll just pop that in. But the problem has been it doesn't seem to be terribly even when we press. So we'll drop it in there, trying not to get too many creases and folds around the edge. Drop all our curd cubes in. We'll get a load of the crumbs in as well. Never seen anything done like this before. But then again, I'm not terribly experienced, am I? Alright, get the last of it out of there and into the cheese press. We'll fold the cheesecloth over the top. Again, my apologies for the camera work here, but the curmudgeon camera person was off looking after her grandmother. So I had to try and do this all on my lonesome, which isn't that easy. So anyway, we fold the cheesecloth over. I'd left the follower in the bottom again, as usual, so I went hunting for it. Always put the press in a bowl because of the whey that comes out of it. I'll link to Gav's books in the description. And if you're really going to get into cheesemaking, I strongly recommend you grab a copy. Let's try and get that cheesecloth nice and smooth. Hope not too many wrinkles. Put a layer of cheesecloth over the top. Put our follower on. Now I probably should have pushed it down a bit harder there because, as I said, it goes at a slight angle. And as you'll see with the finished cheese, or nearly finished cheese, it's a bit lopsided. So that's 11 kilos for 1 hour. We shall come back. That's been an hour at 11 kilos. So let's take it off. And let's pull that out. And it's gone very crooked, as I thought it might. So there it is there. It's turned out very uneven, as I expected. It's very fragile. So we'll take it out like that, lay that nice and flat, turn it over, and we'll try and even that up a bit. It's not going to be that easy though. Alright, wrap it up again on the mould to try to even it out a bit. Like that, and in she goes. And I'm pushing down with my hand on but hopefully this next pressing will sort that out, because it's at a fairly high pressure. So now we make it 22 kilos, which is about as high as I've ever gone, I think, on this. And that's as high as it goes, 22 kilo. Right, hopefully that's leveled out a little bit. Can't really tell. But what I will do is leave this for a couple of hours, open it up, have a sneak peek, and see if it's leveled out a bit. Hopefully it has. All right, that's maybe the last pressing. If it doesn't close up fully, then we need to press it again, but 12 hours like this. I'll leave it here, tidy this up, and come back in the morning. 6 a.m. May not get up at 6 a.m, but it'll be sometime around there. We shall return. So there we go. We've taken out the press. We only did the one pressing at the 22 kilos, and that's how it's turned out. It's a full couple of days on now, air drying so that we can wax it, and I think we'll be able to wax it tomorrow. But as we can see, it's closed up nicely. There's only one blemish, which I couldn't get rid of, right there. Hopefully that won't cause an issue once we wax it. But the problem is, look how crooked it is. That may have an effect, but I don't know. If anyone does know, please let me know in the comments. So this is our Double Gloucester. I was saying Double Leicestershire for a while there, but it's Double Gloucester. Looks really nice. It's a deep yellow. We'll wax it tomorrow. Pop it up in the cheese cave for at least 4 or 5 weeks, hopefully longer. Finally getting a bit of a supply up there, so we might be able to age them a bit longer. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a rather long video, but it's a long process making this particular cheese. So I look forward to hearing from you. Please subscribe and like and do all those other YouTubey things. I'll catch you in the cheese cave.